Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. What an epic year of arcade pickups it's been so far. But the one game that's been really difficult for me to acquire, just because the price of it right now is crazy, is Robotron 2084. And if you watched Chasing Nostalgia episode 4, we featured a theme park here in Phoenix, Arizona called Castles and Coasters. And I met with Cole Grantham, who is one of the general managers there at the park. And I've become really good friends with him. We've done a little bit of work together. I've helped the park in some ways with their arcade, and Cole's helped me. So it's been like kind of this cool give and take. And we've become really good friends too. But I told him, I said, hey man, there's that section of retro games. If you ever decide to do any remodels or anything, let me know because, man, I would love to have that Robotron 2084. So I planted that seed a while ago. And he just called me up not that long ago, and he's like, hey man, we're doing some remodels, and I think there'll be some arcades that we could sell. One of them happened to be the Robotron 2084. We worked this deal I couldn't refuse, and we just did it. And the other thing is, he's like, do you want any other ones? And I'm like, man, I've got a good collection of Williams games going. It'd be really cool to have that Moon Patrol. So I got that as well. And then, you know, he said, hey, everything else is kind of open on this top floor. What else do you think you'd want? And Gerard the Completionist, I kind of met him earlier this year. We've become pretty good buddies as well. And he wanted a Nintendo Super System. And they happen to have a Nintendo Super System at Castles and Coasters. So I was like, what about the Super System? So we negotiated a deal for that. And so I got that as well. So I got Robotron, Moon Patrol, and the Super System, all for a really good price. And Gerard's gonna be super stoked. I texted him, I'm like, hey man, and I took a picture of it as we were sort of loading it up, and he's like so excited it's not even funny. So later on, maybe this year if I can squeeze it in, or early next year, I have to do a little bit of cleanup to it, but I'm gonna clean it up and then we're gonna go deliver it to Gerard. So I'm super excited about that because you know, I'm a big fan of the work that Gerard does. So, you know, I've been a fan of his channel for a while, so it's pretty cool to be able to do some cool collaborations with him, and then also, you know, be able to locate this arcade system for him because you don't see a lot of those Nintendo Super Systems. They're really neat, actually. It's kind of like what the PlayChoice 10 was for the NES. This is sort of that for the Super Nintendo. It featured 3 games, and then as you put credits in, you'd have timed play, so you could play those 3 games. Now, really why Nintendo did this is they were trying to, it was kind of like a last-ditch arcade effort where they could put this stuff in and gain interest for the console, and people would go buy the Super Nintendo games at home. They'd buy the console as well, obviously. There's about 12 total games made for it, so it was really more of a marketing tool for the Super Nintendo than anything else, but it is a pretty cool, unique piece of gaming history, so I totally understand why Gerard wants it. Now that I have it, I'm like, kind of wish he didn't want it, but it's his. I mean, well, it's not his, but I mean, I am gonna do, I'm gonna do that, obviously, but it is pretty cool. It makes me want to keep it, but I promise I won't. But anyways, so now I have these 3 awesome machines. The Robotron and the Moon Patrol were at Castles and Coasters since its inception, so they're you know, they've been there for a long time, you know, since those games came out, so they're pretty beat up. So I'm gonna bring those back to the house, do some restorations on those, and I'd like to feature them here. It's just that I'm running out of space. It's the age-old issue with everyone that collects arcade cabinets or does arcade collecting, or really collecting of anything for that matter, is space. Space is always the biggest issue. So hopefully we can free up some space. Now, speaking of space, Bonehead Retro Ralph, I bought that Road Blaster's cockpit. I traded a perfectly well, almost immaculate stand-up Road Blasters for the cockpit that takes up about the room of, guess what? 3 arcade machines. So I could put those 3 machines, well 2, because you know, the other one's going to Gerard, 2 machines right behind the whatever that is, Smash TV, you know, back to back. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's sad to me, but I'm probably gonna just finish the restore of the Road Blasters and sell it, and then use the proceeds to buy another upright Road Blasters, because I'm an idiot! I mean, who does that? There's so many games that I've had over the years that are like coming and going out of this arcade. Like there's the staples that are never gonna go, right? Like you'd have to pry Sinistar from my cold dead hands. Like that game is like my favorite arcade game of all time, even though I didn't grow up with it, but I love that game. So that one, you know, there's certain games in here that just are not going anywhere, but then there's ones that just became a revolving door. Like I've had Cruisin' World, Cruisin' Exotica, Cruisin' USA, the original, and I've probably bought and sold 3 or 4 of those. But then I always want it back once I sell it. Another one's Area 51. Bought and sold a bunch of those as well. So I don't know. It's really tough as an arcade collector because you only have limited space. So you want to keep the games that you know absolutely love. And so if anybody was getting into the hobby, my advice would be seek out the games you absolutely love. Don't just buy anything because it's a good deal, because unless it's to fund another purchase, because more times than not, you're gonna run out of space and you're gonna go, man, I wish I had this game over here. So just be more particular about your purchases. This is me giving advice to you, even though I don't listen to my own advice. Anyway, so I'm super excited that I got these. We loaded them up. They're currently in the storage unit right now, but I promise I'm gonna get them out. We're gonna restore them, make them look bright, tight, and ready to fight, and get them down here, and hopefully in the house somewhere. I don't know, running out of space. Okay, well, that concludes this video. I thank you so much for watching. Finally, the weather is getting better here in Phoenix, so I can work on games again, and we'll see what can we do with Robotron and Moon Patrol, because they're a little beat up. But they work, and that's half the battle. Getting working games is half the battle. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. Put your comments below. I want to hear from you. And that's it. Oh, by the way, there's a way to leave me a voicemail. There's going to be a link in the description of this video where you can leave me a voicemail, and that message could potentially be played on the Coffee Talk podcast, which is back on the main channel. We're back! I don't know what I'm going to do with the other channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.